One of our ships, the Essex, has just been refitted at great expense and is to go to sea. Now, having made such an investment in her, we want to be sure she's in the best possible hands. So, it gives us great pleasure to offer you a position aboard her. As first mate.
Owen Chase is a classic kind of working class guy. He's not from a privileged family. No, he's really working his way through the ranks and is in a position where he has all the skill sets and all the talent to be captain, but because he's not from the right family and doesn't have the right name or background, he is pushed aside.
This is no time for experimentation. The Essex will be captained by George Pollard.
Owen Chase was a hard-driving man, very ambitious, on the way up. He was what they called on Nantucket a fishy man, who was excellent at pursuing whales, and nothing was going to get in his way. And so it's very interesting to see that personality confronting a Pollard.
Normally a captain gets to choose his first mate.
An experienced captain, yes. Of course, you can understand from the owner's point of view, they want to feel their investments in the hands of men.
Indeed.
George Pollard is from a wealthy, famous whaling family. And he's grown up with this pressure to be successful, to continue the Pollard name, to continue that legacy.
Your great-grandfather and a few others created this industry. Without us, without you, the world plunges into darkness.
And now he has the opportunity to really execute that, because this is his first voyage as captain. And things seem to be going very well, until he's assigned Owen Chase as a first mate. And from then on, Pollard has to figure out who he is, as opposed to who he is in the context of his family.
Damn your impertinence! Do you know who you're speaking to? My name is Captain George Pollard. Pollard!
There's a lot of Hamlet in Pollard, self-doubting, which makes him all the more pretend not to doubt. And so he's a very complex character. And in many ways, the heart and soul of this drama, in that in him is played out what we all feel when we are placed in a situation that is beyond our means.
Pollard did not get to choose what he wanted to be. When he was born, he was a seaman, regardless of whether he had an aptitude for it or not.
George Pollard was part of the establishment, part of the industry, but probably not a natural sailor. He was operating more on expectation than some sort of passion for the adventure of that way of life.
This is madness. You have let yourself be influenced by that man.
And the conflict between these two, their personalities, their leadership styles, and the kinds of decisions that they felt compelled to make, created a lot of tension on the ship.
Sir, squall the starboard bow. You must shorten sail immediately.
Not just yet, Mr. Chase.
Put a lot of pressure on Pollard as a captain, is trying to kind of maintain control, and also Chase, who was basically saying, I don't agree with your ideas. Yes, I'm the first mate, but I'm going to tell you what I think, sir.
We must fall off and run with it.
You stand on, Mr. Chase. Mr. Lawrence, hold your course.
Holding course, sir.
Chase is a man whose father was a farmer and was therefore looked down upon by the sailors, and particularly the captains and the owners of the boats.
This is far from the first time I've been called a landsman or an off-islander by some Nantucket, reminding me how I am not a part of that family.
I was interested in that character and wanting to be different from his father and his passion for the sea and his inability to be taken seriously even though they knew he was the best. And Pollard had his own set of expectations that he had to live up to. Both of them fighting against who their father was and having to become something else and being stopped on their journey. So I was moved by that and how complicated their relationship was. A man who was great at the job and couldn't get to be captain, and the man who was made captain and had no real passion for it.
Not bad, Mr. Ray. Well done.
Understanding the culture of these sailors and all the complexity is fascinating. I think that Ron has the ability as a director to humanize character and give them multidimensionality. And so you will see all the different sides of these guys in this environment.
What say you, Mr. Chase? No need to endure our predicament for a moment longer than necessary.
Amen to that.
Chris Hemsworth plays a character who's driven by a need to prove himself.
And he's myopic about it. He's single-minded, to a fault. I was having a great experience directing Chris Hemsworth in Rush. Incredibly impressed with what he was capable of. And Chris is exactly the right guy to play the lead, Owen Chase. So it felt that this was the time to capture this story and to bring it to movie audiences. In casting Ben Walker to work opposite Chris Hemsworth, it wound up being a great thing that Ben is Chris's size. Now, in real life, I think George Pollard was kind of a squat 5'6" or 7" guy, and Chase was a real specimen. But I think for our movie purposes, it was great that if it came to physical conflict, if these two started fighting, you wouldn't necessarily know what the outcome was going to be.
As actors, you get to delve into how they're competing, what they see in the other that makes them insecure, or what they see in the other that emboldens them.
We are 2 days behind. Need to make up the time if we're to catch the Easterlies.
It's a classic sort of tale of survival and friendship and, you know, really being tested in absolutely every way.
You get to see these characters, these men, in extreme circumstances. And by being in this extreme circumstance where they have to survive and they need each other, it becomes this illumination of the human condition. You start to see humanity, their need to band together, their process of devolving almost. And I think that's fascinating.
The Essex was lost through no fault of yours.
Find your weather and grab the shrouds!
I was as much to blame.
You are not the captain. Hold on! You were born to do this job.
All the characters, I think, were far different to who they were at the end. And obviously, in Owen Chase's instance, he certainly goes through an almost enlightened kind of journey. By the end of it, has a far different view on things and a far more sort of empathetic take on life.